Come on, the ref had to have seen that one. Pro Wrestling was released by Sega in 1986 for the Sega Master System. You play as one of 4 wrestling tag teams vying for 3 championships. Each team has their own moves. Additionally, babyfaces can climb the upper right corner and dive onto their opponents. The heels can grab a steel chair from outside the ring. The chair is brutal. If you manage to hit your opponent 3 times, they're nearly out of energy. If the babyfaces touch the chair, it disappears so the heels can't use it. Each championship is 10 falls. 10 is probably a bit much. It gets kind of tedious after a while. 5 probably would have been fine, I think. If you lose during the first 2 championships, you can continue where you left off. In the third and final championship, it's game over. As you advance, your opponents get tougher and you don't, gradually raising the difficulty as you play. There's no difficulty selection, and I couldn't find any unbalance in the matchups, so everybody seems pretty well equal. The graphics are colorful and typical of an early release for a system of that era. They were criticized by some at the time, but I think they're fine. It's easy to tell the wrestlers apart and see what you're doing. Also, being an early release, I can forgive them for not having the best graphics on the system. The controls are responsive, if not a little complicated. I am using a Genesis controller though. Button 1 punches, button 2 kicks. You use punches and kicks to knock your opponent down. While your opponent is down, holding button 1 for a second or 2 will do a special move. Tapping button 1 throws your opponent into the ropes,
letting you perform one of 2 moves, depending on whether you push button 1 or 2. Tapping button 2 while your opponent's down pins them. Pressing both buttons makes you run. You climb the ropes by pressing up and button 2, and jump on your opponent by pressing button 2 again. You can take the fight outside the ring by going to the bottom of the ring, pressing down and button 2. You grab the chair by touching it and swing it with button 1.
That's a lot of control with just 2 buttons. In fact, I found it hard to keep track of them all at first, but I got the hang of them after playing a few times, and reviewing them a few times, and playing a few more times. The challenge really starts ramping up in the third championship. You need to completely drain your opponent's energy to pin them and... Oh, damn it, wrong button. Wait, what? Wait, how did he get pinned? He's barely out of energy. Hang on, let me try something. Okay, I just beat my opponent by punching and kicking him till he was about quarter to a third down on energy, and pinned him at the first opportunity, and I won. Why did it do that? I need to do some more experimentation. So, after some experimentation, I determined what you need to do is get your opponent down to about this much energy and pin them at the first opportunity. And you'll win. Every time. I don't know if this is a known exploit, but I can't find any information on the internet about it. Did I find a new exploit? Well, knowing that really sucks all the fun out of this game. Yeah, you can win easily, but it goes from being mildly tedious to being a laborious slog. Once you master doing this, you can win each round in about 17 seconds. Well, less than that because all the refs slow count all the pins. If you're not going to use this exploit, winning the third championship is a challenge. Like most games of the era, it'll take multiple playthroughs to figure out the best strategy and get your opponent pinned within the time limit. Pro wrestling is better with 2 players, like most of these kind of games are. There's no championship at stake and no time limit. It's just a single exhibition match. You even get a unique referee. Smacking buttons makes your wrestler get up and break holds, which is easier the higher your energy is. It's pretty easy to make a 2-player match last forever though. You're also limited as to what teams can wrestle each other. You can't have a babyface versus babyface match or a heel versus heel match. You have to have a babyface versus heel match. I don't really understand why Sega put that restriction in. Pro wrestling is typical for an early release of the era. It's fun at the beginning, but repetitive gameplay makes multiple playthroughs boring. The only long-term value is in multiplayer, and you and your friend are going to really have to love wrestling games to play this one for hours on end. A complete inbox copy in good condition is reasonably priced, so getting a hold of it is well within the reach of any collector. But unless you have someone else to play with, it's unlikely to be a very satisfying experience, especially if you use the exploit. Thanks for watching. I have other videos. Feel free to check those out. And there's Facebook and Twitter links in the description.